Hey guys, I'm HOJ, and in today's video I'm going to talk about kind of the monetary aspect of Magic Arena. And so about a month ago I decided that I was no longer going to spend actual money on playing the game. And so this is just kind of a primer for what I do, and if you maybe are an experienced player, maybe you already know this, maybe there's one or two pieces that might help you. If you're a newer player, maybe this will help you a lot. But I just wanted to kind of go over kind of what I do to maximize the amount of gold and gems I can make without having to spend any actual money. So first of all, what I recommend doing is make sure that you do all 15 of your daily wins. For every win that you get, you will get some type of reward. And also every day you're going to have a new quest, which will either give you 750 gold or 500 gold, just depending on whatever it is. It might be to like attack with 30 creatures, play a bunch of lands, play certain different colors of spells. You can change it once per day. So if it's, if you have like a red deck and it's casting blue spells, you can try to change it and see if it lands in something that you have. But I definitely recommend playing every day and trying to get this completed just because it will really add up. I had a look and just to see what the actual rewards are. So the total rewards that you get for the 15 daily wins is a total of 750 gold and 250 mastery XP, as well as a total of 6 individual cards that are rewarded to you. So kind of the breakdown is, if you don't have a lot of time, if you have maybe only 10 or 15 minutes in a day, try to get the first 4 wins, because the first 4 wins is going to give you 550 gold. That's the biggest chunk. So definitely do that. When it comes to the XP you'll be getting for mastery, there is a track. If you haven't seen the mastery track, and it goes all the way up to I think level 60 or so. And you get rewards on the free level just for doing your wins. So make sure to do that. The very first gems that I would use in a given month or a 2-month period before a new set comes out is to get the mastery pass. And I intend to do this right before the mastery cutoff. So you have about 2 months to get the mastery done. So since right now I think I'm at level 51, I'm going to get all these rewards for the paid level when I unlock this mastery pass. And these are the total rewards that you get for the mastery pass. You end up getting 4,000 gold, a player draft token, so you can complete in one draft, which is worth roughly 1,500 gems, 1,200 gems back, 10 mythic rares, 20 booster packs, and then some different cosmetics, and then you can get some more uncommon cards beyond level 60. So I highly recommend completing or doing the mastery pass as the very first thing that you purchase with gems in a certain 2-month period before the new set comes out. After that, what I recommend doing is choose one format that you want to master. For me, I'm most interested in playing best of 1 standard, and so that's what the majority of my games will be in. But let's say you want to play alchemy, maybe you want to play historic, maybe you want to just draft. Whatever it is, pick something and stick with it and really try to master it. And for when it comes to decks, if you're just starting out and you don't have any rares, what I would do is just create like a budget deck. I actually built 2 budget decks here that are only consisting of commons and uncommons, a mono red deck and a mono blue deck, which I'll link here for you in the video description. And it's real simple. I would just pick a monocolor deck if you don't have any rares yet. It's a great way to get started. So this is just like a very, very simple burn deck. And you might lose a fair amount, but it'll be maybe one of the best ways to get wins if you don't have any rares at all. I also built a mono blue deck, again consisting of only commons and uncommons. Again, just like a super kind of straightforward, play a bunch of flyers, bounce a lot of stuff, try to get there. So that's what I would start with if you have nothing. If you have some rares already, maybe pick one deck that you want to really try to master and try to shoot for the top 100 Mythic. Now, I know that sounds crazy. Maybe you've never even gotten Mythic once before. But what I recommend is like aim for something, way outside your comfort zone. Like I tried to get the top 100 Mythic for last season, and with this Boros Mobilized deck, I actually ended up getting Mythic 241. So in the top 250 Mythic, I wasn't even sure I was gonna make the top 1200 at first. So this was a deck that I just kind of started out as sort of like a Mardu Mobilized deck. I just wanted to see if Mobilized was good, basically, and then just ended up revising it. I think by the end there were like 37 versions of it, but this was the list that ended up going top 250 Mythic at the end of the season that just ended. So, and part of the reason I was able to do that is I really, really learned how to play it in all the the different matchups. I got very used to it. Try to take that deck, whatever deck you decide to use, and use that to complete your 15 daily wins and your daily quest to get all this gold and this XP. And then once you start getting gems and gold, the moment you have enough gold, what I would do next is I would pick one type of event that gives you the best return on investment. And for me, since I like standard best of one events are probably going to be what I would do. So this is a really nice event. When you look at it, the entry fee is either 375 gems or 2,500 gold. And if you end up going seven wins, you actually get approximately 4x, a little bit more than 4x return on investment. When you consider that each pack is 200 gems, so you're looking at 500 gems plus another 600 for the packs, and then one play-in point works out to about 200 gems in value, since 20 play-in points is equivalent to 4,000 gems if you're planning to do those events, and I recommend that you do. So you're getting a total of 1,300 gems if you go 7 wins, which is giving back your entry fee and then roughly 3 more times, so a total of 4x. The break-even point here is just going 3 and 3. So you get 200 gems in a pack, which is equal to 200 gems, so that's approximately 400 gems, which is more than what it costs to enter. After that, what I'd recommend doing is really studying the metagame. And there's a couple different sites that I use. You can use whichever sites you want. This is not a plug for any individual site, but I like using mtggoldfish.com, and I'll have a link for all this stuff in the description. This gives you kind of a snapshot of the metagame, and for standard, for instance, it'll show you, so Is It Cauldron represents 28% of the metagame. Mono Red Aggro is the next biggest one, then Dimir mid-range, then Jeskai Control. And what's cool is if you click on one of their decks, it'll give you not only the full playlist, but you can also, if you scroll down, it'll show you in the decks that they're seeing, so approximately 3.9 copies of this card is played in 100% of the decks. So you get like an idea of what most of the decks are running. So, as it gets more down here, like 97% of the decks run 2.5 copies of Torch the Tower. So, in general, they're running 2 or 3 copies. It just gives you kind of a good feel for it. The other place that I go to mtgdex.net, and you can actually filter here going to the standard meta, and then if you click on like the last 2 weeks or like the last 30 days, it'll tell you what the breakdown is of actual decks being played on Magic Arena. And so here you can see again, Is It Cauldron is representing about 23% of the metagame. And if you click into one of these, you can go to, look at this, here's a first place list of Is It Cauldron that took place on just the first. So it's very recent. It's a first place finish. This is a best of 3 deck, so you are going to see a sideboard here, But in general, this will give you a pretty good idea of what to expect in a best of one deck as well. And this will give you the exact deck list here. You can also, if you want, you can even separate it and go into just best of one decks. Now, these will give you, I find that looking at best of three is still pretty good, so I would check both, but these are specifically best of one arena ladder decks for that deck type. In addition, I also use untap.gg, and so when you install it, you'll get this little UI here where you can click on Find Decks on untap.gg, and then here it's going to show you, you can look at a bunch of different decks are going to load here for you, and these are all the decks. They're updated in the last 34 minutes, total of 2 million matches. You can change the parameters to, let's say, look at just the platinum decks here. So people who are at a platinum level, if you pay for it, I think you can go up to mythic, but you know, I just use it for free. So anyways, this shows you, these are all the decks, what their win rate percentage is, how many matches, what the average game duration is, and then it gives you the exact breakdown of what the cards are. The cool thing also is that you can just click on copy to MTGA, and that'll literally allow you to import this deck. So if I wanted to do this deck, I would just click copy. I'd go into my decks page, and then I would just click, let's see here, import. And then if I import it, boom, there it is. So here's the deck, and now here's the total list. So I could just use that deck if I wanted to. But anyways, it gives you all these different decks, tells you their win rate, how many matches, how long the games last, and then it'll tell you if you have enough wild cards here to make the deck or not. And if you don't, it'll show you exactly what you're missing. The other thing is, if you're trying to save money, what you could do, check how many wild cards you have. Like I have a lot of extra common and uncommon wild cards. What you could do is you could go into your decks and go into like the current collection. And if you want, you could use some of those common or uncommon wild cards to fill out the set. And then that way, when you get prizes that would normally be cards that, you know, maybe you would still need, then you would get more points of progress or percentage points towards your vault. And then every time you hit the vault, when that gets to 100, you get some mythics and some rare wild cards, which can help you kind of build out maybe a deck that you're trying to specialize in. So, you know, if you don't have anything, you can start with one of these, like, you know, monocolor lists. That's like a budget deck, but try to start like saving your rare and your mythic wild cards to help you build a potential deck you want to actually run with. And, you know, what can help you find it is if you use this, like untap.gg, you can literally go and find a deck that's already winning and like has a good win rate percentage, and then just use that instead of just guessing. Or you can use like MTG Goldfish to find like a winning list, or mtgdex.net. They're all very helpful in this. So the other thing is that once you have these decks built, let's say for instance you didn't have the cards for these, like maybe like an Izzet deck or the Orzhov deck, you could still import it. And then once you have it imported, what I'd recommend doing is like analyze the list, try to find like the big role players, like make sure you know Izzet Cauldron inside and out, know all of their tricks, know all of their instants, everything that they're capable of in a match, so that when you play against them, you know exactly what they can do. Try to memorize, you know, what kind of tricks they have. Get to know what land they have. So like if you're playing against an opponent and they play a Concealed Courtyard, you know that they're playing the Orzhov Life Gain deck. You know, there's maybe a couple decks that'll use like the Concealed Courtyard, but not very many. You know, so try to see if you can identify unique lands for a certain deck, so that when you see that land played on turn 1 or turn 2, you already know exactly what you're playing against, and that really will help you get better. I think, yeah, that's a lot of it there. I think just again, just, you know, focus on like one format, one deck. You know, if a deck ends up not working, or you start getting to a point where you're like reaching a plateau and you can't move forward, I always recommend going deeper into the deck instead of just like changing to a different deck. So for example, when I was working originally with this Mardu Mobilize deck, this was my first idea around Mobilize before I ended up going to top 250. And I started with, some cards like Zurgo in Mardu, which is a cool looking card. Ultimately, it's not that competitive, but it was my starting point. So if this was my deck, I found that I just couldn't move forward on the ladder. I would think to myself, how can I make this deck better for what I need to be doing in the ladder? And the answer to that was, well, how much is black really adding to this deck, right? And so I ended up cutting black, and I ended up, after many, many iterations with the deck list you see before you, which made top 250 Mythic. So, what I recommend doing is also you can use untapped.gg to kind of look at your progress. So for instance, if I go to my untapped.gg page, my profile page, it'll show you your win rate percentages with everything, which is really cool. And again, this is a free site. It's not a plug, it's just something that I use. But this way I can go and I can look at my Mobilize deck here, for instance. And, the overall win rate for all the versions of this deck that I've played is 55%. And so it'll tell me exactly, what my win rate percentage is on the play, on the draw, how many matches, and then you can go and look at the matchups and see, okay, what am I losing to? I'm getting destroyed here by Boros. I'm only winning 35% of the time. How could I make that deck better or that matchup better? And then if you look, I've got 37 different versions of this list. And so if you scroll down, this is like the most recent version, has like 100% win rate over 2 matches. But if you keep going down, you can go back and look at previous versions of the list. And I have 37 different versions before so change it daily. Just something's not working, go deeper into the list. Try to find something where you don't have to completely change your list and have to get new cards. And I guarantee that'll help. And I think that's kind of like most of what I use, how to really minimize and essentially save money and not spend money at all. And, over the course of a day or two, you'll be able to do another best of one standard event, for example, if you're doing standard, because you can, get about half the entry fee on a daily basis if you do all your wins and you're doing your quests and you're, saving up for that mastery pass. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. I hope it helps someone. Again, some of you guys might be experienced. You might know all this stuff already, but for those of you who don't, this could really help maybe. And I would encourage you to shoot for top 100 Mythic. Even if you don't get there, even if you make top 1200 Mythic, that's still a prize of essentially 4,000 gems. If you just make Mythic alone, you get 5 booster packs and I think 1,000 gold at the end of the season. So just shoot for something outside your comfort zone. Anyways, thanks for the time, guys. We'll see you in the next one.